time. Angel God called upon to blow the universe down its swingin'est groove. Music is the resonance of eternity in the transience of the moment. But to feel the living pulse of that essence, holding on, you have to hear the heart music, the breath of God itself, like Bach, or Mozart, or Beethoven. And yes, that earnest, pregnant resonance of living air, Coltrane. He is like a pool with a buried sun. On diving deeper, its clarity expands. Explanation is deviation. The embodiment is acceptance, experience, devotion, mystical wonder, and unknowing, humbling sainthood of art. Man is the instrument of God, and Coltrane is God's dream of love for us, blown through a tenor sax. Welcome to the Montclair Poetry Meet. You're gathered here at one of the greatest events that Oakland will ever have. Few will know about it, but you were there. Today we are going to hear uninterrupted 3 hours of good poetry, great poetry, I would say, living poetry, because it comes from you who are living. We have a panel of distinguished judges. Let me introduce them to you. Jenny Grip, our chief judge, an expert in Shakespeare and theater, wonderful person with whom I had many discussions on the sonnets. Sue Byers, a poet from the Livermore Valley, excellent, wonderful poetry, cowboy poetry, Indian poetry, women poetry, beautiful poetry. Mary Rudge, the poet laureate of Alameda. Louis Cuneo, who should be the poet laureate of Berkeley, runs the Berkeley Poetry Festival, has been here for many years, keeping poetry alive. Those of you in poetry will know Louis Cuneo. I'm honored to have all these people with us. And, of course, one of my special people, Maggie Meyer, founding member of the Bay Area Poets Coalition, and a poet of great experience. I think you'll agree these judges not only have a taste and a love for poetry, but wide experience on judging what is good, what is bad, and what is ugly. Let me explain a few of the rules very briefly.
Swim the widest oceans to be with thee, my dear lady. And around her I feel so free, as sure as my little niece is called Bree. A king has found his queen, and now I play it for keeps. For keeps, because see, I am not the type of brother that creeps when you are asleep, and no pages going off with silent beats in my soul, which you have taken a quantum leap. You know, yes, I've got to speak the truth, my beautiful queen. Yes, I would die for you. I said I would die for you. Now, y'all shouldn't be shocked to hear the truth that's being spoken in these words that's being unlocked, because see, when you cherish the notion of you and I making love by the ocean, and motion will be like a divine potion which makes your hair rock, and loving you I can never stop. And while you tick, I will talk. Honesty in a relationship is like the molecules inside of a rock. I'm going to build you up higher than a song being played by my brother man Herbie Hancock. Let you witness these lyrics. To some it may seem odd, but when you have been given the power by God, the same God that gave Moses the golden rod is like me entering your heart when you allow me to take away that padlock. I love you so deeply, I can make the average woman's head nod from Kemet to Bangkok. And our togetherness must stay tighter than a rock putting fools in headlock. I would die for you, but now I live for you. That's a serious quote, bro. Know that I will put this to Jai in my oath. From coast to coast, we go continental. You're like the oxygen in my mental, my respiratory, and my morning to my glory. And really, I couldn't give a damn if you're not feeling my story. You feel me, G, when I speak? Because sometimes I go ballistic. But you can rest assured that I keep it realistic. And every day, my queen, She receives love deposits again and again and again. I am yours, your gentleman, and I will be your friend like Michael Jackson was back in the day to Ben. There's no need for us to pretend to be in love because, see, I intend to call upon the Reverend to ask him or her to bless the hand that I put the diamond in because she was heavenly sent. I live for you. I would die for you as you sleep. Thank you.
There. Has the small bird fallen in love with itself in our picture window? Say it. I went down the line. It was itself of itself to another window. The lady looked in the mirror. She saw she was beautiful. Inspired, she remained looking in the glass. Staring into fire's flickering dance, flames shower sparks, embers smolder, scorch open.
What is that keeps us looking beyond our present eyes? What is it that says keep believing in that something just beyond forever? What is it that pushes and pulls for that something only time has seen? What is it that reaches so far yet can't seem to find that constant being? I don't suppose it's any one thing, but all that stirs the courage to press on. All that says the will to believe in that something just beyond forever. You ask my age. To tell the truth, I don't know. I've been assigned a number, but I refuse to accept its limitations. I am, I have been, and I will be again. So, you'll have to invent some other way to index and characterize me. No, you can't clip my wings. And we have dreamed a world, sketching its form through the eyes of innocence and wise, giving belief as its heart, and breathing faith into its lifeless chest. We have nurtured it into the world and given it substance. The fear of its destiny, their uncertainty of mission. Its cowardice foes have held the lynchman's noose to its throat and dared it live. Their debt of waste upon earth's tearful face. And we have dreamed a world echoing an eternal hope, the vastness of our voice, our enduring will, a soul. We have dreamed a world that others have seen and too have dreamed and dared breathe our gifts of humble truths of dignity. Indeed, mankind, yours is no longer infant, for ours have nurtured your mission. Now breathe the breath of infinite love. Let our dream begin, our benefit. An earthscape tale, my air garden. I like to watch the misty silk screen of gentle rainfall stretching into silver ribbons within my air garden of woods and streams. Tiny drops making see-through pools and shallow places where I stand and stare back at the stars. Just across the meadow, not too far away, it flashes on sidewalks and walls, sketches images of things never seen in other places. Where rooftop drains overflow, listen. The tiny drops sound so big, like the stampede of frightened people across a deserted city. I'm even afraid sometimes. But when I walk again beneath the fading clouds of gentle mist, I hear the rapture of the trees, the sigh of the rainbow, As I wander through my air garden of woods and streams, I listen. It's the voice of wood. Home, home, home.
Becoming is. The world is, and the world ain't. Is a whole lot. There ain't in between. And is so. Sometimes is ain't nothing. No time for purple questions or colorful melodies, for the night is cold and there is no liquor to warm my soul. Cold wind rattling my bones, dinner plate barren, no chains to jingle, and home free, but give me some more ears. A two-sided wonder. Chico Hamilton crossing the river. Chico Hamilton, a man from two worlds. Drumbeat rolls, sticks fly. Drumbeat rolls, sticks fly. Roll on, drummer, roll on as I make my bed in swollen, dry places. Pink, the color pink, rolls through my mind. Blinking to that drumbeat. Another cold night. The sun was out discovering who is who and what is who to who. As I make my way across the river, I can see my light come shining. Shine on me. Touch me, woman, and set me inside free. God in mercy, be with me. I must have washed these jeans 36 times. Meanwhile, back over the river is deep, the river is long and crossing. Ding, blink, blink, and a ding. Class struggling, and then the wheel I know runs elsewhere. This runs solo straight, no chaser, and many with a hat on, running to bring him back on stage. Come on, monk, ruffle my brain. Interrupt sleepless nights and long-awaited cries, distant moans and quiet sighs. Another ding, another bling and a ding. The F sharp was held momentarily in place as Monk's elbow rested on the key. A pebble of water set atop a sheet of glass and trickled downward until it reached the bottom of the window. Pain, pain, pain. The dew fell hard against this mournful morning, causing my train to run past the ghetto and the river's edge. Await time, I say, await. In so soon, some sunny shadows, someone else is in pain, and it somehow allows me to be who I am. Monk, spinning around, on stage, squashed. Monk, spinning around, on stage, squashed. He was trying to be himself. The sun shines over the river. The sun shines over there in a fluke.
A triplet Welsh form in a syllable county and rhyming. Support the troops is popular to say, and so they go out into harm's way. We at home cut their VA. The U.S. Congress, all save one, voted wide powers undefined, which might confine the actions of a single man. The Congress, in its way, acting as the Reichstag of an earlier day. And from the Oval Office, a reflection scene, vague and somewhat fantasy-silly. Gosh, it isn't Hitler, do I mean, but rather more like Kaiser Wilhelm.
Okay, I'm going to read a poem I wrote about somebody I lived with who died. I don't know if anybody here has heard of David Lerner. He was a great poet. It's called Absence of the Large Learner, in memory of David Zelig Lerner, 1951 to 1997. When he sat at the kitchen table in our living room, his plates, bowls, mugs, tumblers, 2-liter bottles, cigarettes, letters, magazines, and ashtrays splayed out across the whole Formica surface like the deployed men of a manic invisible chess master. He fed himself steak when he could afford or steal it, baked potatoes, fries, burgers, chicken, pasta in morning dishes, pizza on the greasy cardboard. poached eggs, cereal, Russian rye with lots of butter, or just chips and dips. Then a sink load of dishes. Then he'd pat around naked, huge, roaring about Jesus, Rambo, Bukowski, the death penalty, or whooping, expanding to fill almost all that little space, while Maura tiptoed around the edges with her cigarettes and smile, and I listened, envious and delighted, until exhaustion pushed me out to hole up in my little room. The front passenger seat of my car pushed all the way back with the seat back tilted so he could recline and ease the strain off his back. David Friends got to calling car seat in the learner position so that his very absence bulked large with us. My car seat already doesn't remember him. His absence is too big for it now. He expanded to fill all time, too. 30 minutes of just a second to put on his pants leg. And couldn't we put the Earth's rotation on hold? He could make a trip to the Safeway, a 2-hour action epic with exciting adventures among the strangest of strangers, executive decisions over cantaloupes, bags of bagels, tubs of sour cream, and the squeeze past the narrow gates of financial judgment at the checkout. Getting him to write a check he promised took from breakfast until July sunset, while he was dropping hundreds a day on his habit. Over and back across the Bay Bridge, my Mitsubishi hatchback-tailed the big black old Cadillac he'd bought. I was never more pissed off till now. The cat broke down later and he abandoned it. I guess he'd just been hungry for a car like that. In detoxed intervals, he would talk about his theory of addiction as a spiritual hunger, and his voice would get quiet and intense, like his best reading voice when a crowded room would shut up and you could almost hear them strain to drink his meaning. He ate up the silence of those ears he fed, as he ate up Bach, Coltrane, Rivera, the Holy Ghost, and words, written words, quoted words, or words of his friends. Once when I was hustling him down a hospital corridor in a wheelchair and his leg dripped blood over the fresh mopped white linoleum, an orderly challenged me. "What have you got there?" I shouted. "Bleeding man!" David smiled, agonized and bleeding as he was. He relished that, agonized as he was. I never thought he'd actually die. I thought he'd swallow the universe like a poached egg at breakfast. I could just hear him grumble lightly if it wasn't cooked just right.
Yeah.
The name of this poem I am reading this afternoon is called Roll with the Blitzes. Roll with the Blitzes is the name of this poem. Earthquakes, fires, terrorist strikes. It's never ending, all of these bites. For innocent passers-by to these turns of fate. We can take it, we are not whoever waits. Dealing with adversity is how we grow. Forging ahead is the way to the big show. It is up to us to make the right decisions. You have to be keen, be sharp, execute with precision. Roll with the blitzes, you'll always come back. Keep your cool, don't be set back. Roll with the blitzes, gather your resolve. Think of the good times, we didn't take a fatal fall. Don't fall prey to a bad bill of goods. Forever beware of the devilhood. Do your jobs and do them well. You'll sound the chimes, you'll sound the bells. Knowledge and information are powerful tools. Education is that which rules. Finding your passion is a very important thing. Then keeping focused will keep your spirits thundering. Roll with the blitzes. Consolidate your thoughts. The sun always rises. There are more battles to be fought. Roll with the blitzes. There's adventure down the way. You are the supreme pilot to your blissful days.
Awakening. Yesterday boils away, hissing. Sleeplessness unfolds like a worn map of an unknown city. An unfinished dream, barely audible, kneels sullenly on the riverbank. That which is jagged edge hovers in open space, tumbles into rock piles. The pitchfork leaves an astonishing pinhole through which emanates the discordant glare of 3 oboes. The postal workers. For most of December, the trucks load and unload, load and unload. The little postal workers, located between the duodenum and the small intestine, diligently sort the pumpkin pies, the plum puddings, and yes, the fruitcakes into little cubbies and into a larger bin, its own zip code for everything chocolate. No one picks up the mail. In January, they will expand the building as they do every January, despite the edict from the Postmaster General that this year will be different. Thank you.
Tuesday. Dang! The family of man who hired and went underground only to come back up with a little amnesia. East, west, north, and south. Mexican barrios like Mayan temples. Born again rise strong amidst great African ghetto empires. The back roads to the side streets hide a rich rainforest, invisible from the freeways. From downtown to East Berkeley. Inca, Bantu, Mayan, Watusi returned to make union in their black, and brown skin tones. Underground below, brown water creeps over their old, white, supernatural bones. The trail of tears during the Middle Passage years. Oh, Nyabingi drum beats between chanting of Santeria, Condomble, Vodun. Machete makes way through sugarcane for the Trail of Tears during the Middle Passage years, forced from Africa to the Indian islands to dance the rain horn song and bless away the irony of circumstances. Where gospel melts into blues, where blues colors into jazz, where these sounds syncopated, freestyle, hip-hop, separate souls washed together from different lands and planted in the same wild garden. This connection takes root from a concoction of common ground. Camaraderie grows into a culinary cultural blossom, like when exotic smells of hot water cornbread, collard greens, soya bean, handmade tortilla, fresh cassava, sweet corn tamale, covered under a hot sauce of red and green. All tribes converge without asking why. The rainforest holds such hiding places. Their bones hold on while floating underground from the streets all named Martin Luther King. Whatever the grudges, all must come to the edge of the water for a nice, cool drink. Their differences are their commonalities, their strengths. And strengths never die. Not really. They only cover or deeply bury themselves. So dance. Mayan Watusi, that funky guacamole gumbo medley. Azteca, cha-cha-cha, salsa with salsa, while Bantu and Cherokee ride bareback down Florence and Normandy. Toltec cry of fixed political elections, while Hausa yell of policemen crimes. They pull out their weapons, but it is only their tongue shooting from the roofs of their shouts. Come gather where everyone comes to play and without territorial exchange, only to come together and share their mole soup garnished in black-eyed peas, mango juice, dirty rice, fried plantains in a simmering pot of sautéed, greasy ham hocks. It's a jungle without trees. It's was a jungle of old took bones under hard, cold concrete. Indian temples among African ghetto empires. The family of man, the spiritual man, and woman must remain strong among Indian temples as corporate executives overshadow the Mayan Watusi meadows. Hold on, and float below, waiting again to rise again to dance the rainforest song.
Say what? You went to the fifth dimension again last night? That's the fifth time this week. You must be having a good time.
Hell yeah. You see, my parents was taking me to speakeasies and nightclubs before I had a name. You know, right around the time I became Twinkle, the apple of my father's eye, before the sun touched my skin. So I say, let the rhythm begin. Let the rhythm begin, and may these poems remind you of the music in your heart, the sound within. Jazz is the kind of music that fills all the spaces and plugs up the gaps. It's like meat and potatoes, vegetables and rice. It's like water, essential. It sustains and refreshes. It sustains and refreshes. Jazz is cool. Makes you forget what you don't want to remember anyway. It beckons the sun to come in through the shade. It makes shadows. Oh yes, jazz is here to stay. Jazz is the kind of music that loosens the juices. It stimulates flow like fruit. It cleanses like greens. It builds like fluid. It restores. No. Jazz will never, ever be ignored. Jazz is tight, all right, satisfying and purifying. It's rhythm and its rhyme. It's time spent well into the night of your black and blues, creating new hues for living. A splash of yellow, a dabble of brown, fuchsia, purple, and green is all the colors you can dream. Jazz is never played quite the same way twice. The kind of music that takes you up higher. It's good stuff, and it's good for you. Take your vitamins, then put on some jazz. Play it, paint it, scat it, sing it, till your soul's full, till your spirit's free. Romance to jazz, dance to jazz, make love to jazz. Jazz, music with class, A1, like no other, pure African-American culture. Need I say more? Hi, my name is Sophia. Glad to be here on a beautiful day with you to read my poem entitled One Story. Threads of gold are needs to be welcomed as you are. History, his story, facing into being accused of writing the book cultures live by. Her story, her story, facing into the responsibility of rewriting his story. Our story. Facing an Armageddon of planetary proportions where only the chosen will be saved, while other human beings live another world. They're all are the chosen. You, individuals, in relationships, you're co-creating this new world. Their story, other living beings, plants, trees, rivers, oceans, skies, animals, their beauty endangered. Wow, what is also emerging is our common story. Now based on empirical evidence of the great birth of some 15 billion years ago can also be the story of the cosmic egg. Celebrated by primal peoples for millennia. One story. A long story. Full of the details. We have lived in various forms. One story. A love story. Full of love's re-entry, boredom. Somos amor, somos amor.
Now, I forget if it was Crystal who brought me to Brandy, or Brandy who brought me to Crystal. But you see, that's the way it is living that life in the super fast lane. Just push that pedal through the metal, aiming high and shooting off and just chasing after that tornado with the sunroof down. But that was the empty 1980s. The decade when Reagan declared ketchup a vegetable, and now, by the grace of Alzheimer's, he is a vegetable. This is the year Y2K plus 3, and my life has been changed. It has been transformed. I have become a merger and acquisition specialist for Poetry Readings Incorporated. And very recently, we gained control of a reading where every week 35 people show up. Now for a poetry reading, that's like a major corporation, a Fortune 500 company. Now, there's this little reading critique group that meets like 3 blocks down the street and around the corner every other Thursday. We are going to buy that reading for the cost of maybe 10 old chapbooks and a rusted coffee can donation basket. That reading will be ours. Then we're going to close it down. Export all the open mic slots to Latin America. Sell off all the assets like the rickety folding chairs with the bubble gum underneath. Now, maybe we won't come out ahead on the deal, but at least that sign on the newspaper window is going to say, "We've consolidated operations." And then we'll be the only reading in the neighborhood. Swallow up the once-a-monthlies, buy out all the every other weeklies. Our stock is going to rise with that Wall Street Journal. They're going to say Poetry Readings Incorporated is a series on the move. Then we're going to go after the big readings in town. Poet School, Poetry Diversified, Oakland Slam. We're going to buy them out one by one. Not outperform anyone, mind you, but we're just going to buy them out, sell off what we can't make a profit off of, or reduce to our docile submission. That's right, because we at Poetry Readings Incorporated are going to bring you the best poetry product in town. Never mind the lawsuits, the picket signs, the fact that I have to go around town in a bulletproof yellow cab. We are going to bring you the best poetry product in town, and we're going to do it the American way.
My first poem is titled Baggage. At the checkout counter in the nursery, I suddenly noticed lady bags in a Ziploc plastic bag, maybe 400 or 500 in a bag. Clerk, what is this? Oh yes, ma'am, they're for eating bugs in your garden. I have a couple of boxes in the back. Haven't put them out yet, they're all dead. Seems like plastic bags have gotten out of hand. Bag it for freezing, bag it for lunch, bag it for sale. Lady's been up for sale for a long time. Foreign trade big for Chinese ladies, bagged by the bunches. Bring them to the U.S. We pay big bucks. Work in San Francisco for businessmen during lunch. They like massage a la carte. Oh, ladies working for survival, for the buck, to survive this great oppression. Can I hold you, free you? Can I learn your language, take you home? Oh, ladybugs, may I set you free to roam the grassy earth? And if we meet while I lay on Mother Earth, may you climb gently on my finger. And I have one more. This is titled Beast. Fog is...
3 poems on beverages. Sarsaparilla. Bells, bells, Miss Scarlet, it is another day. And I have no desire to depend on the kindness of strangers. But I have an impassioned need to wax poetic and feed some man peach pie. But my God, what's the world coming to? Men are giving me their cards and expecting me to call them first. May Mama look down from heaven and slap me silly. I know the etiquette of a Southern belle, not Pacific. But hello, darling. What do you do when one does call first, then delivers the perfect pickup line? He says he likes that which has made every other man in my life slam into reverse. Then he starts talking like my daddy and says he has a burning need to share a sarsaparilla with me. Well, I'm in a total quandary. I swear by a piece of my heart, I have no idea what to wear for sarsaparilla and a man who likes my brain. Thank you. My next piece is for you, sir. Ode to the grape grower. Let me be that fulsome glass to slake your thirst, that ruby for which you have unceasingly sought. Then I shall be your Amarone, your Zinfandel, deep with complexities as we mellow with age, and with careful fermentation, we shall sparkle like 1,000 stars in each other's souls. Juice. I want you to crave me like juice, like good, comfortable icebox juice, drunk straight from the jug on a hot, youthful, tree-climbing afternoon. Like elegant, extravagant, luxurious juice, squeezed from voluptuous oranges on a breathtakingly beautiful, birds singing break of day. Like sweet, cool salvation juice, soothing your dirt road of a throat on a mean, dry, hungover mouth morning. I want you to crave me like juice. Juice in tall tumblers, juice the color of Pat Parasha sapphire. Juice as fresh and new as childhood. The juice that nourishes you all the rest of your days. I want you to crave me like juice. Thank you.
I'm going to do two short poems. The first one is titled Work. The second is I Am Wonder. It takes a lot of work to live a lifetime. It takes a lot of work and ice cream and sandwiches and kisses to make it till the end. If you have a pretty face or a lot of money, it may seem easier. For this is the secret of the mountaintops and the marketplaces of the world. It takes a lot of work to live a lifetime. Yet, it may seem easier if you're a man with a whole lot of money or a woman with a beautiful face.
Try my best to be loud here. This wasn't a yelling poem, but it fit into 3 minutes exactly, so that's why I chose it. If you can't hear me, raise your hand. If you can't hear me, ask me to raise your hand. Anyway, it's called The World Rewound. The grass is wet gold from unseasonal rains, and the black-green pines stand silent along the high hillsides as tendrils of fog lure me into cold, damp possibilities of my never being. Erase a line, and those Europeans drawn here, and my point of intersection is no more. Remove from me the maze and the meat, and unravel my strands, atom by atom, back to the land. Still the breezes my breathing made, and restore the light my eyes absorbed, and rewind the world's memory to before I was born. The wavering fog reminds me, I am not the first to never be. These bay shores were groomed 10,000 seasons or more by women and men who named and knew every valley and rill from my hill down to the shore. And like the trees, they believed that their seed would drop and blossom in the earth beyond all fires and quaking, until the fifth world rose inside out from the pregnant fourth. In the trees, in the fog, I see the weave of their world. It tugs my thread, unraveling my garment. The city that swallows the bay dries up and blows away, fleeing out Nigerians, Malays, and Celts, hidden crabs, elephants, and cattle. Watches, rings, and teeth dissolve into nestling nuggets inside mountains, rising thick again at their roots. The gravel roads roll up as the pebbles fling and settle themselves in the unexploded pits. The nails fly out as the houses flow backwards through the mills, and the mighty forests swell back to life in a great oxygenating gasp. The starlings and sparrows are struck from the trees as the garbage tips explode into bones and feathers of passenger pigeons fluttering back to their branches. Horses stagger backwards up galleon ramps where winds suck the ships back to Europe, and Cortez, Pizarro, Colombo are stilled at birth by desperate mothers. From that fog, I see the world unraveled and re-knit. Bodiless, I float to the village by the marsh, where the grass is wet gold from unseasonal rains, where the boats lay aground and the spears lay ungrasped, where the villagers stand over the girl with the white bone necklace, where the young man sobs, where his infant cries, and he shouts in his heart that he would tear the world apart and rebuild it again if he could only stare once more at the stars of her smile. when you come up behind me and slip your hand in mine, and we go inside for a breakfast of hot chocolate and croissants.
It's 6 years now since we started corresponding, yet you've never told me details of your crimes. Were you having a fight about a lover? Was she nagging you to quit doing drugs? Did you grab a knife off the kitchen counter or take aim with a borrowed gun? Were the children watching from the next room? Neighbors rushed in answer to her call? Did mother loose the strings of her apron and hand them to you in a purple ball? It's 6 years now since we started corresponding, yet your poems and letters show no trace of violence. Speak of missing your departed mother, sorrow for your deed, beg forgiveness from your family, invoke blessings of God on mine, tell how you arrange African events, worry for Cecilia, your new love, feel pride for your new job, cherish times your family calls. It's 6 years now since we started corresponding. You don't need to tell me details of your crime.
You scare me, but I'm hanging in there because I like it a lot. And such it is with miracles and magic. One sustains, the other's tragic. One will free you, one will bind you, one will love you, one will find you. Just to use you or to blind you. Don't be foolish. Grab the living, the eternal, the forgiving. Run into the arms that made you. They're the ones that won't forsake you. They're the arms that will caress you and protect you and embrace you. Don't go searching for the truth. Truth will never need to hide. If it's hidden, that's a lie. Just look up and see his glory. Praise his name and hear the story. Someone else's blood was given just so you could be forgiven. Someone else redeemed you wholly. You will never take this gift conceived in love. You will never find another to compare or even bother. No one can outdo the Father. I'm feeling better, so you get another one. Listen, life. That's the title. How did the summer of my life so quickly slip away? I'm left with faded memories and nothing much to say. As I approach my winter years, the curtain's up, but no one's here. I wrote the script, I learned my lines, my role I sold for a few dimes. I never took life seriously, but life seriously took me. No intermissions in this play. Winter is harsh, that's all they say. How harsh, I really don't know yet. I know I have no choices. I sold them too, for even less, listening to other voices. And then life whispered in my ears, sounds like you're...
Media is my watchdog. Radio, television, and magazines are what I mix together in a glass full of goo in order for the ingredients to congeal and settle in my otherwise hypertensive stomach. Media is my watchdog, and each placebo grabs me tighter than a lawyer's firm grip as I feel tickled by the warm, horrendous energy trampling several of my chakras, biting my leg like a good puppy, ouch, cleansing my facial pores with information concerning parenthetical truths baked crispy clean for ultimate megabyte consumption. Such a wondrous day will be when various holes are poked through my skin, allowing for the spirit of the real me to seek new shelters, while goldfish ghosts start swimming around in my blood vessels, shouting out proud dictums with copyrighted logos. New fun is approaching when omega-3 monounsaturated commercials help to neutralize the complex, funky blend of information. My latest mistress comes in the form of a brown paper pamphlet, yeah, and she chases me lickety-splickety through the daffodils of my illusion as I flick each channel and thumb through each page of new and improved enlightenment. So don't touch that dial.
True representative of the God in flesh. We are the forever focused wind riders, traveling and trotting beyond shell form, completely intangible, moving figuratively in the realms of the unknown, fueling the creative ability while dancing in the language of life. We are that potential flow, creating seeds and positive blessings, rooting from that of the galaxy and beyond. Infinity infinitely awaits infinity to be more than that which it is. And that is why we, the flesh, spiral forth from the realms of the unseen to rain the blessings of the unseen in the realms of the seen. Rejoice, O mighty wind riders, for we are triumphant, for we know all things. Their lives have been broken as pillars pushed by the arms of Samson. Naya Bingi chant, drum, and dance, for it is the celebration of the whole, for the bosom burns hot once more. Fire burns their chests. This is the only way that I can explain the joy has formed a volcano within, vigorously exploding with words I cannot explain nor capture its expression upon this canvas into which I give my thoughts. You must feel this vibration. Here, take my hand, for Elohim lives here. Trust in yourself, as I believe with my wings I will achieve anything I set forth to be. So come ride with me, or better yet, I'll meet you there. Until then, I'll be riding my solar board in other dimensions, doing things I can't even mention. The star chemist with no limits, my potential is like that of the breeze when the wind blows, and no one knows exactly how far that can go. So let's chisel through this milky river. I hear the promised land is the pearl to its depths. So may the spirits of proven ascension ride, for no others will be taken into the chamber of the infinite all. To be that which we are, the true representatives of the gods in flesh. And on another planet, Rome lives and the games are still being played. So rule not with a barbaric hand, for the people will rebel. Rule them by pleasure, and they will never see past illusions. Feast the gods of their energies to fuel our desires. Keep them submerged in the games. This is the law. It must exist within them, or our world ceases to exist. Enslave them if you must. Never let them grow wings, only those of oppression. This will satisfy their needs to fly. Give them a taste of truth, then kill it before their eyes. Whatever you must for the games, the grand finales are at hand. The planets have aligned while the righteous wander about in darkness. Do you see? We shall have what is theirs. Their gift shall be an all cup. For whatever you must for the game, Rome lives in the games. The games.
Kiss, self-doubt, divide, and shove at the door. I've done this more times than I care to count. I don't mean the kissing. I never imagined what it would be like to kiss self-doubt. I mean, I'm shown at the door. Unfortunately, it's usually the closet door. But the kissing, now that I think of it,
felt something flutter, beat, fluttering. A tiny, gossamer heart in my half-closed hands. I thought I held a piece of my rebellious dream, a thread of magic pulled from wherever the dreaming mind goes. How could there be a lock in my hand?
Year of the technocracy. Chairman Bill proclaimed a lofty goal: happiness would be captured and made available to all registered users for a modest fee. Happiness was pursued, chased, run to ground, wherever and whenever it could be found, pursued, where children play kick the can and hide and go seek as summer evenings grow dark. Chased where hand mowers, snakes, the that grass on Saturday mornings, and Green River sodas are served at drugstores on July afternoons. It was hunted where dish towels come inside boxes of laundry detergent, and candy bars have paper wrappers that tear open with a sound you can taste. The pursuers were relentless. They left nothing to chance. They armed themselves with mission statements and lofty goals. Facts were accumulated. Sheets were spread. Data was based. 2 bits, 4 bits, 6 bits a dollar. 8 bits, 16 bits, 32, yet more power. The martial powers of 2 marched in geometric progression, pursuing happiness, cornering happiness, dragging happiness, kicking and screaming back to their labs, their benches, their instruments, their school of business methodologies. Success was imminent, came word to Chairman Bill, and accordingly his net worth rose higher still. The essence of happiness was digitally distilled, replicated in the lab, manufactured a short time away, wheels set in motion, marketing campaigns launched, focus groups found their focus, 100 websites were spun, yet when the boxes were opened, all was to be undone. Happiness had escaped the lab one sunny afternoon as researchers researched and admins administered and mid-level managers muddled through. Far away from faxes and monitors, keyboards and mice, out of reach of any digital phone, a 3-year-old girl had eaten her first ice cream cone.
I'm reading 2 poems. First one is called Fruits of Labor. Oranges are in season. I peel them with urgency, strip away their protective cover. Let the festivals of citrus pour over my fingers, down into the familiar crevasse of my palms. I push rind aside, once whole, now an assortment of odd shapes and pieces scattered about the countertop. I separate each section of fruit, each one holding a distinct dream I harvested and discarded from the orchards of my youth. I arrange the segments with precision and rage. I devour each one. Let the juice saturate the knowledge in my taste buds, drown my days of frostbite and irrational rain. I forget that it was the rind that who saved the orange, that screened out pesticides and pessimism, that sheltered the center from the urgent hands of pickers on ladders, reaching for me when all I wanted or needed was that final fall to the soil below. I find myself returning to the fruit bowl again and again this season, and it's not because I'm hungry or thirsty for the wisdom of citrus. I return to remember the rinds, to touch those unwhole pieces, scattered and random, to piece them together and feel the texture of safety, to embrace the tangible nature of memory, to pay homage to orchards of suns come and gone. Oranges are in season.
How many more lives will it take to make people realize there's a war? It never comes off the earth.
in the war that's going on right now in March 23, 2003. A young man gets killed in the Oakland streets. I was the witness of the pain and desolation when that mother cried. 6 shots in the air and a big crash. Oakland, 21st homicide. 15 minutes to do or die. Young man trying to stay alive. 2 minutes and a body with 6 shots, pulling everything from the inside just to hold, to see that red light. Each second has pain and memories, though taken way back. 10 minutes, he feels that red light. Not sure if it's a good sign. He relied crying, saying goodbye. Around him, just stop. I seen that mother cry for the young man who tried to stay alive. I seen the sadness she carried when seeing that blanket on the side. I seen that mother with her heart ripped apart. 15 minutes and the whole family cries in the middle of the street, trying to understand why, giving support to each other to try to survive to the loss of a loved one who will never come back. 15 minutes had just became an eternity for the young man who died. And it seems like one way or the other, young men are likely to die. At a very young age, you can get homicide. I seen the death doesn't discriminate color or race. How many more lives will it take to make people realize there's a war in every corner of this earth? A suicide bomber takes over the streets in the Middle East. No one knew his identity. All they know is he left a note saying this. I'm just a young man whose life was taken away. Standing in the middle of a crater, trying to understand the sadness and hate, the brain tears of pain. Just yesterday, I was praying, giving thanks to Allah for letting me and my family survive. Now I'm standing in the middle of a crater, picking up rocks full of blood, knowing nothing can go back. Praying to Allah to give me the strength to go and fight back. And knowing that I'm helpless, I fell on my knees and hugging the rocks as I let my tears off. And knowing that there's nothing in the world strong enough to make me survive. Knowing that I just lost my blood, my only reason to be alive. Knowing that tomorrow, no one will come and soon because my mother and father are gone. Knowing there's nothing in the world is strong enough to make me survive. Knowing that I just lost my blood, my only reason to be alive. But I know, as I write this note, that revenge will hit them hard. And shoving 2 grenades inside my pants, thinking to myself, I won't pull back. I will get close, really close to a checkpoint or the end of my life. I hope my hands don't get sweaty inside my pants as I hold the rings that hold my life. And thinking about my family, and knowing that they are gone, and knowing that soon revenge will unite us one more time. As I get to the checkpoint, I will pull the rings out of my pants. And 4 seconds will be the distance I'll see my dad. I'm just a young man who got homicide. One more time, I see the death doesn't discriminate color or race. How many more lives will it take to make people realize there's a war in never going on this earth? Thank you.
Yeah. Love, rock, and roll. Mr. John Lennon, the Queen of England gave you the honor of knighthood. You said no. Other things are more important. But you will always be Sir John Lennon to me. We love rock and roll. Thank you.
2 pieces. I am so young. I am still over the mooning. Ferris wheel topping, single leap bounding. I am still nowhere trying to be. Skydive, ripcording, blades edge riding over the cliffing.
great, brother man. You just spent a lifetime being a good servant to your people and the world community at large. And your name has been added to the Celestial Hall of Fame. What are you going to do now? I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to catch a train with John Coltrane, or I might fly like a bird with Charlie Parker, or catch the A train with the Duke Ellington, or Count Basie, jazz royalty, or I might take the midnight train to Georgia because this is the gladdest night of my life. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to take a Billie Holiday with Bessie Smith on a lady day when I'm feeling kind of blue. I'm going to take some giant steps miles and miles away and spend the night in Tunisia looking for a love so pretty. Like a blue monk in a Thelonious sphere. Ba-da-da-da-ba-da-ba-da. I'm going to Kansas City to hear what the future sounds like at Mary Lou Williams' house during the jam session with Bud Powell, Dexter Gordon, Kenny Clark, and Sonny Rollins. The Creator has a master plan. I'm going to Disneyland in Chocolate Paradise, that place where people like me are free to be the kings and queens of their own creativity, where the music be bopping and the ladies be hopping and doing the electric slide. I'm going to catch a ride on a carousel of stars with the goddess diva queen, Josephine Baker, and Dorothy Dandridge, Sarah Vaughan, and Roberta Flack, and Nina Simone, and Shaka Khan, and Nancy Wilson, and Patty, and Sade, and Aretha, and Ella, and Diana, and other chocolate angels sing. I'm going to catch a soul train. I'm going to Disneyland. I'm going to the Savoy Club to check out some of the great works of Art Tatum and Art Fletcher. I'm going to be sitting by the dock of the bay when I have some of Sam's cooking with some Nat King coleslaw and some Al Greens with some Stevie Wonder bread on my T-bone walkers, simmering in some Chuck Berry sauce and some Smokey Robinson's seasoned with some ooh child and some James Brownies for dessert with some Jelly Roll Mortons and some Dr. Martin Luther King dream cake cooked by Anita Baker with lots and lots and lots and lots of fats, Navarro, and very high in fats, Waller, and saturated in fats, Domino, and washed down with some ethyl waters to around about midnight when I'm going to get Sly and the Family Stone with the flatted fit of Jesse Gillespie, straight no chaser, because I'd rather drink muddy waters and sleep on a hollow log than to go without feeding my chops and exercising my lead belly, because they be cooking in the soul food kitchen, man. I'm going to Disneyland.
Ghetto Safari. Our route takes us past well-manicured lawns, superbly painted homes, lush inviting parks and playgrounds. Breath comes in short gasps in anticipation of what we'll see. Sights never seen before, the brochure read. The landscape is changing. There's one, I screamed. There's one, I'd spied one, huddled over a refuse can. So excited my heart was beating furiously. There's another one, and another. Everyone was yelling, pointing. Lock your windows, the driver has vanished. Keep your hands inside the vehicle. We slowed. Cameras ready. A hush fell over us. To my right, one was drinking from a bag. Eyes glazed, dirty clothes, shoes run over. It was talking to the sky. The rest of them didn't seem to care. There were some old ones in wheelchairs making their way through the crowded street. There was a pile of clothing, apparently cast away, lying near a doorway. The pile of clothing moved, and a hand reached out from within to pull the pile closer. Boarded doors and windows, narrow doorways, hotel signs, faded letters, not sure if they were still what was advertised. A crowd was gathered about one, a single one that was handing something to them. Wave-like, they were moving out, moving in, moving out, then disappearing into one of the doors beneath the faded signs. There were little ones there, too, faces older than they were, old eyes looking for lost childhood. Every corner crowded, overflowing beneath the narrow sunlight, making its way beneath the closely stacked buildings. Late morning blue sky elusive, not seen by the eyes and bowed head. Over there, the vehicle stopped with a jolt, never seen before. A syringe in hand, a rag wrapped around the bicep. One was injecting itself with a brown liquid. A young one was watching close by, watching, turning away, watching, turning away. Mesmerized, transfixed, we couldn't move. We didn't see the projectile or what threw it, but the vehicle sounded as if itself had shattered. The glass in the front suddenly became multifaceted, then opaque. We jerked forward, eyes wide in fright. We all at the same time huddled forward. Another crash and shattering. This time the glass fell inward. A face appeared in its frame, sardonic, intrusive. Then another face, hideous with hatred. There was a sound of frantic need at the side door. The vehicle was trapped, surrounded. I began to weep, as did the others. Such a sad sound, so alone. The door was pulled open. A large one in rags stood there, eyes blazing. I wonder how you feel, it said. I wonder how you feel. It left the vehicle, walked to the front of the vehicle, and with a wave of his hand, parted the crowd. We moved slowly through the quiet eyes, our hearts handed back. Thank you, I thought, to the one that came in the vehicle. I'd forgotten how to feel. And to the loves of my life, women.
We necklace our chokehold American cities across once fertile fields, hold our wallets, twist heart close, filled with paper plastic pictures that know these pallid, faded reflections of childhood dreams are not the only truths, told in moments, ticking
try to legislate away our own deification. We cannot clone a protection from ourselves because we do not know who we are. Among a universe of seemingly silent stars who won't speak to us. And we can't bring close enough to tell us why these hard questions hurt, and why this middling star spins anyway, and why on this one planet, 1 billion people are rushing like lemmings to pave over paradise in favor of concrete cliffs that can crush us, as life betrays our silent, unwarned beginnings in favor of noisy voices we ignore in peril. Liberty, a jilted lover left in sackcloth and ashes at the fanatic corporate religious lockdown doors. And each new baby's cry is echo of oceanic loss as unfloated saltwater drains from eyes, as the wind roar that moves out our lungs until funereal smoke cuts off that final bone-to-bone connection. So pursuit of that 7-year complete cell-to-cell renewal is lost. And we stretch out our souls with arms of longing for that final self-reflection of our face in Sophie Screaming's eyes, and find happiness at the end of the line finally being just a handshake and a smile between us.
It sits in the dry mud, stuck, lost, motionless, alone, abandoned, sad, dirty, misunderstood, unappreciated, underappreciated, beat up, and left for dead. Didn't ask to get there, that car. Didn't ask to be left alone, ignored. Didn't ask for much of nothing. Only asked for love. But you can't ask for love in a dry mud patch on a hot, hot Texas summer day, can you? You gotta look elsewhere, out there, onto that endless horizon, where the sun always shines, birds always sing, stars glisten, cows stare, cowboys hum, dragonflies buzz, fireflies dance, and the world is alive. With feeling, plenty of feeling, and limitless possibilities, which might include getting that old car out of the mud, a drive on a country road, to find a new chance, a bit of love. Maybe not too far down that road, past the mud patches, past the cows, and a few years away from the pain of the past, from what really happened in that old mud patch, where you done got stuck yourself one day. Real stuck. Seeing that car that your mama drove one night, drunk, sad, alone, scared of something you ain't never understood. Mama couldn't take care of nothing. Not herself, not you, not sister, not pa, not nothing at all. Mama couldn't see the rays of sunshine shining down on that car, drying up the mud, the tires, making a bad situation even worse, sadder, more stuck in mud. That summer dirt, so thick, so dry, took the life out of you. Your childhood, your dreams, your feelings, couldn't feel them, couldn't have them, couldn't share them. They would ride up too, and stuck. Nearly, till you found yourself, like Mama, just 2 kids, just a car, all alone, right up and left, but not stuck. Still in touch with yourself, your wet tears, your dry fears, and a faith that hangs round like an old dog, who points the way for you to go, out that road, down that road, to that endless horizon where the sun still shines, the birds still sing, dragonflies buzz, cowboys hum, fireflies dance,
resting, your oceans are oblivion, so the dawn brings in another day. We've been at war 13 years with Iraq. This poem, written 12 years ago, is still relevant. Have we not seen enough of their black magic? Rain of tomahawks, tornadoes, cybernauts, centurions, and robot death squads? Are we not sated by this electronic lantern show? 16-inch guns, cruise missiles, fireflies over Baghdad, torn landscapes, kettle horizon, 80,000 sorties. Where have they hidden the bones? Splinters of humanity drift anonymous, sting among eternal sands, shifting, blended, lost like the lost ghost of Mesopotamia. Clouds of ash and perhaps trace vapors more terrible, more lethal persist. We, participants by our viewing habits, we are the gutless and guilty. Not only for the wanton arming of criminals and despots and the neglect of that whole sad, teeming region, but here, as watchers at a bar fight, as the burly pulse circle and slash, too drunk on war drums to know when too much blood is drawn, we stand dumbed and untouched, unacting yet unable to avert our eyes, stifling that reflexive wrench as if even that small movement would release a maelstrom amongst us. Youth asks, what's left in this life? Birth and wonder, gone, still.
And imperial conquest. I raised my voice for peace and liberty. I've never thought of myself as a poet. Shit didn't make no sense to me in school. Then I went to war and fought a bunch of poets. And then young people living hip-hop lives found a way to give expression to their experiences and the conditions of their lives, creating culture. Let me say that one more time because I think it's important. And then young people living hip-hop lives found a way to give expression to their experiences and the conditions of their lives, creating culture, and they called it rap, and I felt something. And then the poets among them came to it, and they called it spoken word and slam, and I began to understand. 5 in the morning, 18 and 19-year-olds running formation, calling cadence, learning to become. I want to be an airborne ranger, living on blood and guts in danger. Every day, all day, airborne ranger. C-130 going down the strip. Airborne daddy gonna take our trip. When we get up oh so high, we're gonna jump right in the sky. Are you ready? There was a 9 or 10-year-old boy begging for food on the side of the road like hundreds of others. I was riding shotgun in the truck. I was the one with the gun. The driver crushed his skull with a can of sea rations. I was cruising at 1,500 feet, keep my mind and body clear and cool. A hellbound fool, mindful if you will. That chopper landed for fuel. 5 men got on, 3 gooks, 2 Americans. 2 gooks tied up right. When we got up oh so high, 2 gooks don't talk. They threw one in the sky. Splattered by rotor-driven paddy water, we put him on the chopper. Eyes wide with wonder, he beheld his horror and his blessing. And as he laughed and cried, I watched his horror turn to eternity's gaze. They said they found her in a hole in the ground. They said they found her in a hole in the ground and pulled her out. They said they found her in a hole in the ground and pulled her out and stripped her clothes off. They said they found her in a hole in the ground and pulled her out and stripped her clothes off and tied her spread eagle upside down on the front of the armored personnel carrier. They said they found her in a hole in the ground and pulled her out and stripped her clothes off and tied her spread eagle upside down on the front of the armored personnel carrier. And they cut a sapling and they shoved it in her vagina and they loaded up and they had it up. I spent 2 days in Vietnam last June at any high school USA right here in Oakland, California. Landmines in the heart all day for 2 days. Outside the door after class, a young man tells me his uncle, the uncle he never knew, his mother's brother, was killed in Vietnam. The look in his eyes says, please tell me about my uncle. I give him my sorrow and my best for his mother. He pulls them into his eyes and moves on down the hall. Turning, a young man thrusts his hand to me. Firm, steady grip holds my hand. With quivering voice, trembling lips, he thanks me for coming to class. It helps helps him understand what his father goes through, he says. Tears fill my eyes as they fall down his cheeks. We hug, and he moves on down the hall. Vietnamese young man lingers shaking my hand, wanting to know the history, his history, that has shaped his family, and that they do not speak of. He is out the door and moves on down the hall. Rainbow young women shake my hand, looking into my eyes, whisper thank you. They go out the door and move on down the hall. They ask me if I killed anyone. They ask me how it feels. They ask me if a close friend was killed. They ask me how it feels. At least half of these 14, 15, and 16-year-olds know someone killed in Oakland streets. I know this because I asked them. I asked them how it feels. We all veterans. We talk some. Ashe.
It's a pleasure to be in the honored position of your last poet of the week. And I want to thank Manuel and Eric very much for bringing poetry to Montclair for us. Are there any baby boomers out there? Oh, yeah, okay. Me too. Recently I've had the pleasure of celebrating the 60th birthdays of some close friends of mine. And it made me think that as a baby boomer, that's where we're going. So I would like to invite all you baby boomers, as well as you non-baby boomers, to think of 60 in a new way. Think of the number 60 from a new perspective. 60. An age, a number, a progression, a figure in space, edges smoothed by God's grace. Look again, and topsy-turvy, a monocle for a wide-opened eye, a telescope to view what still has yet to be imagined. Look again, from the top, a point, a place to stand and view a perfect blend of seamless moments rounded to a whole. A continuum, so we do not know the ending and beginnings. Look again, in the disguise, looping back to create a chair, a place to rest our derriere. Look again and adjust the view. A handle to fine-tune our vision through a portal of now to somewhere. A number, an age, a progression, a figure in space, edges smoothed by God's grace.